Hello friends. Imagine a person who walks through life like a dreamer with ancient instincts, a soul caught between the tides of emotion and the loyalty of a noble guardian. That's what you get when someone is born under the mystical sign of Pisces, in the year of the dog. This is not just a mix of water and earth, it's a dance between cosmic empathy and grounded morality. These individuals carry a heart that feels 1,000 lives at once and a spirit that never wavers when it comes to protecting those they love. Let's dive deep into this rare personality blend, exploring their essence in love, marriage, sex, friendship, business, dark sides, and their life goals. Love, deep waters and loyal tides. Pisces-Dog individuals don't fall in love, they dive into it, heart first, soul exposed. For them, love isn't a season or phase, it's a dimension, a reality where everything is richer, more meaningful, more sacred. They don't just love someone, they become part of them. Their emotional intuition is so strong, they can sense when you're upset before you say a word. They remember your favorite childhood memory, the way your voice changes when you're nervous, and how you take your coffee on rainy days. Love is never casual for them. It's deep, vivid, and visceral, like living inside a poem that never ends. They believe in soulmates, in love that transcends lifetimes. A Pisces dog doesn't just date you, they wonder if you were meant for them before this life even began. Their heart seeks familiarity in strangers and often confuses fate with timing. If they feel that click, they don't need weeks or months to know. They feel it instantly, like a silent code has been unlocked. Yet while Pisces is often accused of being unrealistic, the dog balances this out, grounding their romantic fantasies with commitment, loyalty, and an unwavering sense of right and wrong. They don't want a whirlwind, they want a forever. In relationships, they are generous to a fault. They'll give you their last ounce of energy, their most guarded truths, their full emotional presence, even when it's not reciprocated. They are the type to stay up all night comforting you, even if their own heart is breaking. They love through action, cooking your favorite meal after a hard day, checking in after your big meeting, leaving notes in your bag that say, "I believe in you." Their love language is often a blend of nurturing, protection, and poetic gestures. But this depth comes with risk. They fall fast, sometimes into the idea of someone more than the person themselves. When the fantasy fades, they can feel disoriented, betrayed by their own hope. And still, they stay. The dog side makes them loyal to a fault, willing to forgive, to wait, to sacrifice. Their loyalty is profound, but it's not infinite. Break their trust once, and they'll ache. Break it twice, and you may never find the way back. The Pisces forgives, yes, but the dog never forgets. They require emotional honesty from their partner, not perfection, not performance, just truth. Tell them how you really feel. Let them into your inner world. They crave connection that feels soul level, where silence isn't awkward but sacred, where flaws are welcomed like old friends. If you can't go deep, they won't stay shallow just to keep you. They may stay physically present, but emotionally, they'll already be swimming away to safer shores. And if their love isn't met with equal emotional depth, it doesn't end with drama. It ends with silence. They begin to withdraw, slowly, softly, into their own world. They might smile, be kind, even affectionate, but the heart isn't there anymore. They won't lash out, they'll just stop hoping. You won't even know it's over until they stop writing you poems in their head. That's how you'll know the tide has gone out, and it's not coming back. So if you love a Pisces dog, love them wholly. Be brave enough to show them your soul. Protect their tenderness, match their loyalty, and never take their depth for granted. Because when they love you, they are love. Raw, radiant, and absolutely unforgettable. Marriage, sacred bonds over legal contracts. To the Pisces dog, marriage isn't a milestone to be checked off, nor a social structure to conform to, it's a soul vow. It's the act of choosing one person not just for this life, but in their quiet belief, perhaps for many lives to come. This kind of commitment is deeply sacred to them. They don't just say, "I do," they feel it in every cell. That promise isn't just to love in health and happiness, it's to hold space in silence, to stand steady in sadness, to remain when things get messy. They see marriage as the one safe harbor in a chaotic world, a refuge where both people can be entirely themselves, without armor. When they marry, they're not entering a contract. They're stepping into a shared spiritual path. These individuals crave emotional depth in partnership. They don't want a cohabitant who splits bills and chores, they want a life companion. Someone who will sit beside them in the middle of the night while they untangle a dream they can't quite explain. Someone who finds joy in mundane things, watering plants together, folding laundry while talking about the meaning of life, or reading poetry aloud on a rainy afternoon. They are drawn to connection that feels fated, like the two of you are somehow continuing a conversation started in another existence. And if you don't bring that kind of emotional presence, they will feel lonelier in the marriage than they ever did alone. Fidelity isn't optional in their world, it's fundamental. The dog in them makes them deeply principled and unwavering in their loyalty. Once they've committed, they are all in, mind, heart, body, and spirit. Even in times of conflict or distance, they rarely entertain thoughts of anyone else. Their sense of duty in love is profound, but this kind of idealism can become a quiet burden. If their partner becomes cold, emotionally unavailable, or loses interest in intimacy, the Pisces-Dog won't immediately walk away. Instead, they will retreat inward, silently aching, trying to rationalize the emotional loss, often blaming themselves. They may live for years in the echo of a love that no longer lives in the same house. Creating a home is a deeply personal, almost artistic pursuit for them. It's not just about aesthetics, it's about energy. Their home becomes a sanctuary filled with softness, warm lighting, quiet corners, books that feel like old friends, and music that plays in the background like a heartbeat. They tend to gravitate toward cozy details, vintage teacups, overwatered plants, candles with stories behind them. Children, if they choose to become parents, are cherished beyond measure. A Pisces-Dog parent doesn't just raise a child, they create a world for them. This is the parent who kisses scraped knees like they're holy wounds, who cries at every school concert, who keeps their child's first drawing like it's a Van Gogh. Their family isn't just important, it's the center of their existence. When the marriage is nurtured, it can feel like living inside a storybook, not one of grand fairy tales, but of intimate, beautifully ordinary magic. A glance across the table means everything. A whispered apology heals more than time. These marriages are filled with moments most people would overlook, but for the Pisces-Dog, those moments are everything. They're the glue, the rhythm, the poetry of the relationship. In return, they expect attentiveness, presence, and emotional partnership. Not perfection, but effort. Not endless romance, but real connection. And when they get it, their love becomes limitless, almost divine. But if their trust is broken, the unraveling is quiet and final. The dog in them cannot overlook betrayal, especially betrayal of the emotional kind. If their vulnerability is mocked, or their love is manipulated, a silent wall goes up. They may still be there physically, may still care deeply, but something in them shuts off. It's not dramatic, it's not loud, it's a soft goodbye that often happens months before they actually walk away. They stop sharing dreams, they stop reaching out, the rituals die, the magic fades, and when they leave, it's not with fire, it's with mourning. They grieve the marriage like a death, not because they're weak, but because they invested their soul. To be married to a Pisces-Dog is to be seen, held, protected, and loved in a way that few people ever experience. It's to be the center of someone's inner world, their muse, their anchor, their companion in the deepest sense. But to keep that love, you must cherish it as they do, with reverence, with presence, and with the understanding that to them, love is never ordinary. It's sacred. Sex, spiritual fire, and emotional oceans. For the Pisces-Dog, sex is not a performance, it's a pilgrimage. They don't engage physically just to satisfy an urge or chase novelty. They come to the experience with heart wide open, seeking something sacred, emotional, and deeply personal. To them, intimacy is a language beyond words, a space where vulnerability becomes beautiful, where silence speaks, and where bodies become vessels of connection. Touch isn't just physical, it's energetic. A single kiss can feel like a confession. A long embrace can carry an entire conversation. Their sexual expression is not flashy or loud, it's profound. Every movement has intention. Every glance carries meaning. They crave merging, not just contact. They want to feel their partner's soul inside the experience, to dissolve boundaries and lose the concept of you and me. It's about becoming one, even if just for a moment. In that sacred space, time slows, emotions intensify, and the world falls away. They aren't turned on by the mechanical, they're aroused by presence, eye contact, shared breath, whispered truths in the dark. If you come to them without emotional depth, the experience will fall flat. But if you bring your real self, your fears, your dreams, your truth, they will meet you there with everything they are. Their sexuality blossoms through trust. Without it, they'll hold back, appear passive, or stay in their head. But when trust is earned, their imagination opens like a secret garden. Pisces brings rich fantasy, a touch of playfulness, and the desire to explore otherworldly intimacy, not necessarily kink, but emotional adventure. The dog, however, keeps them grounded. They seek safety before surrender, loyalty before vulnerability. Once they feel emotionally secure, they become generous, deeply intuitive lovers. They can sense shifts in breath, energy, and even mood before a word is spoken. Their lovemaking adapts fluidly, tender when needed, fiery when passion arises, always led by deep emotional cues. They often approach sex as a form of healing, not in the cliché sense, but genuinely. If you've had a hard day, they'll hold you before touching you. If you're insecure about your body, they'll praise every scar like it's part of a constellation. They want to love their partner through sex, not just pleasure them. It's an experience filled with gentleness, emotional safety, and an undercurrent of soulful intensity. They see sex as a sacred space where two people can be raw, unfiltered, and still fully accepted. And because they approach it with this mindset, even casual touches with them can feel incredibly intimate. Fantasy, for the Pisces-Dog, is not separate from reality, it's an extension of their emotional world. They may not always voice their desires openly at first, but inside, they carry rich scenarios built on connection, storytelling, and emotional depth. Their fantasies often involve more than physical acts, they involve story arcs, subtle tension, and symbolic meaning. Once they trust you, you'll be invited into this secret space, where love and desire blend like watercolor. They won't just want you to see their fantasies, they'll want you to live them with them, to co-create a world where passion has layers and stories to tell. But their greatest gift in sexuality is also their greatest vulnerability. They cannot disconnect the emotional from the physical. If they feel ignored, taken for granted, or unloved, their desire fades, not as punishment, but as a natural consequence of their emotional system. Sex without heart feels hollow to them, almost painful. They might still go through the motions, but the light behind their eyes dims. And they won't explain this directly, they'll quietly withdraw, hoping you notice the change in their energy. They grieve emotional disconnection through the body first. So when the touch stops feeling sacred, they retreat, not from spite, but out of sorrow. To truly be intimate with a Pisces-Dog is to step into a space where spirituality meets sensuality, where devotion meets desire. They don't need perfect technique or elaborate games. They need presence, emotional depth, and honesty. If you come to them with your true self, they will offer you something rare. A kind of sexual connection that doesn't just satisfy, but transforms. A place where you don't just feel wanted, you feel seen, worshipped, and remembered. Friendship, the therapist and the guardian. Friendship with a Pisces-Dog is not a light, casual connection, it's a soul pact. They don't do, sort of, friends or surface-level interactions. If you're in their circle, you're in, held, protected, and remembered in ways you may not even realize. They are the type of friend who texts you when they feel your energy shift, who shows up uninvited when they know you're too sad to ask for company, who remembers anniversaries you forgot to mention. Being close to them is like being constantly wrapped in a quiet emotional safety net. They're always watching over you, but never demanding credit. Their presence is subtle, loyal, and deep as the ocean. They are the emotional sanctuary for many. Friends go to them when things fall apart. Breakups, existential crises, panic attacks, identity confusion, and the Pisces dog is there, listening with full presence, no judgment, and an empathy that feels like warm sunlight. Their responses are rarely rehearsed or cliché. They feel with you. They don't just say, "That sucks." They sit with the pain, offer perspective, and ask soul-level questions that shift your entire mood. Their friendship isn't about advice, it's about witnessing. They honor your truth, even the messy parts, and they never use your vulnerability against you. That's sacred ground to them. They often play the role of the therapist friend, the one who knows how to ask the questions no one else does, who remembers what you said 3 years ago about your childhood and gently brings it back in the right moment. You'll find yourself saying things to them you've never told another person, often without understanding why. That's because their energy is disarming. They give off the message, "You're safe here." They're not interested in gossip, small talk, or keeping score. They want emotional intimacy, the kind where silence feels full, where you can laugh and cry within the same breath, and where you can be completely yourself, shadow and all. They're also incredibly loyal, almost fiercely so. Once you've earned their trust, they'll defend you in every room, even the ones you're not in. If someone disrespects you, they'll take it personally. If you're hurting, they're hurting. The dog side of their personality shows up here with unwavering devotion. They'll show up at 2 a.m. when no one else does. They'll help you move, nurse you through a breakup, loan you money they probably shouldn't, and never ask for repayment, not because they don't need it, but because your comfort means more to them than keeping score. They're the kind of friend you only find once or twice in a lifetime, if you're lucky. But their depth of care can also become their vulnerability. They give so much, so naturally, that they often forget to draw boundaries. They attract wounded people, emotionally hungry people, or those who are comfortable taking more than they give. The Pisces part absorbs pain like a sponge, while the dog feels responsible for everyone's happiness. This can lead to exhaustion, burnout, or a deep loneliness that lingers even while surrounded by others. They often suffer in silence, afraid to burden others with their own struggles, believing their role is to hold space, not take up space. They are the friend who seems to have it all together, until they suddenly don't. What they long for most in friendship is mutual depth, someone who not only receives their care, but reciprocates it. They want to be asked how they feel. They want to be seen behind the soothing smile and the steady presence. They want to know that someone out there holds them in return. Their ideal friendships are long-term, low drama, and rich with emotional honesty. They thrive in small, tight-knit circles where loyalty is mutual and silence doesn't need to be filled. For them, one deep friendship is worth more than 100 party invites. Quality isn't a preference, it's a requirement. To be friends with a Pisces dog is to have access to one of the most emotionally intelligent, unconditionally loving, and spiritually anchored companions life can offer. But you must meet them where they are. See their heart, give back as much as you take. Check in on them, even when they say they're fine. Because while they'll never ask for much, the friendship you build with them will shape you in ways no one else ever could, gently, quietly, and forever. Business. Vision with ethics. In the business world, the Pisces dog is a rare and valuable force, not because they chase profit, but because they embody purpose. Their success isn't measured in numbers alone, but in impact, harmony, and alignment with their values. This individual is both visionary and principled. The Pisces side dreams big, often seeing future trends, emotional needs, or creative gaps in the market long before others. The dog side, in contrast, brings discipline, loyalty, and a strong internal code. Together, they create someone who can imagine a more beautiful world and build the systems to make it real, as long as their heart is in it. They are mission-driven above all else. You won't find a Pisces dog thriving in soulless corporations or industries driven purely by greed. They have a deep need to feel that their work is helping someone, creating something meaningful, or protecting something sacred, whether that's the planet, vulnerable people, animals, or creative integrity. They gravitate toward careers where empathy and impact are not just buzzwords but foundations. Give them a cause, a story, or a broken system in need of healing, and they will pour themselves into it, with surprising stamina and devotion. But remove the meaning, their motivation collapses. They're not lazy, they're misaligned. Pisces energy brings creative intelligence to everything they touch. They're the ones in the meeting who offer a quiet, unconventional idea that ends up being the perfect solution. They think in metaphors, symbols, human emotion, things most analysts overlook. The dog adds reliability, structure, and a deep respect for fairness. They don't cut corners. They don't take credit for others' work. They don't believe in success built on exploitation. In fact, they may leave high-paying positions if the ethics don't match their own. Their integrity is internal, not performative. They lead with quiet strength, nurturing others, uplifting teammates, and encouraging collaboration over competition. While they can absolutely succeed in leadership roles, they're rarely flashy bosses. They're not the loudest in the room, but often the most respected. They manage with empathy, listen deeply, and support people as individuals rather than metrics. Subordinates often say things like, "I'd walk through fire for them," not because of fear, but because of the genuine care the Pisces-Dog has shown. They believe in cultivating meaningful workplaces, spaces where people can grow, feel seen, and contribute to something bigger than themselves. They don't just want to run a business. They want to build a community. However, they are deeply sensitive to environment. Toxic workplaces, aggressive hierarchies, or cold corporate politics quickly erode their spirit. They don't thrive under micromanagement or ruthless competition. If surrounded by cynicism or cutthroat behavior, they may retreat emotionally, lose focus, or burn out entirely. Their empathy, a gift in relationships, can become a burden if not protected. They need to feel emotionally safe in order to create, lead, or contribute at their full capacity. Their productivity is directly tied to how respected and understood they feel. Emotional intelligence isn't just a skill for them, it's a survival mechanism. Their ideal careers tend to blend vision, service, and emotional connection. They flourish as therapists, counselors, nonprofit leaders, spiritual coaches, social workers, teachers, writers, designers, artists, environmental advocates, or anyone behind the scenes in a mission-led organization. Even in business ownership, they'll often pursue something rooted in care, like a wellness brand, a vegan cafe, an animal sanctuary, or a small publishing house for underrepresented voices. They're happiest when they're doing work that touches lives, even if only one life at a time. If you're building a business and lucky enough to have a Pisces-Dog on your team, know this: you're not hiring an employee, you're gaining a moral compass, a visionary thinker, and a loyal teammate who will quietly carry more weight than you realize. But give them empty work, treat them like a number, or expect them to betray their ethics, and they'll vanish. They may not shout or complain, but they will disappear into something that feels more meaningful. Because for them, business without purpose is just noise. But business with soul, that's where their true genius ignites. Dark sides, the melancholy guardian. Even the most poetic hearts cast long shadows, and for the Pisces-Dog, those shadows often run as deep as their devotion. At first glance, they appear gentle, nurturing, and spiritually grounded. But beneath that softness lies a complex emotional world that can, at times, turn turbulent. Their darkness doesn't scream, it whispers. It creeps in slowly, wearing the face of exhaustion, disappointment, and quiet heartbreak. The very qualities that make them beautiful, empathy, loyalty, idealism, also make them vulnerable to wounds that don't heal easily. And when they suffer, they do it silently, almost elegantly, like a sad song playing behind a closed door. Their first and most seductive shadow is emotional escapism. When life becomes too harsh, too loud, or too indifferent, the Pisces-Dog doesn't fight back, they slip away. They disappear into books, into films, into dreams, into music, into sleep. Reality becomes too coarse, too demanding for their soft interior. Instead of addressing pain head-on, they often hope it will dissolve on its own. They avoid conflict not out of cowardice, but out of a deep desire to preserve peace. But avoidance, over time, becomes a trap. Problems left unresolved ferment in silence. Emotions grow murky. Fantasies take over. At their worst, this escape can spiral into addiction, to substances, to people, to habits that numb rather than heal. They don't self-destruct loudly, they fade slowly, disappearing into their own inner fog. They also suffer from chronic self-sacrifice. Pisces dogs feel responsible for the emotions of everyone around them. They absorb tension in a room like sponges, often without realizing it. Their instinct is to help, to heal, to hold others up, but they rarely extend the same compassion to themselves. They'll stay up comforting a friend while ignoring their own breakdown. They'll offer love to someone who never reciprocates, and they'll call it loyalty, even when it's slowly killing them. Over time, this self-erasure creates dangerous patterns: resentment, suppressed anger, deep exhaustion. They may become passive-aggressive, emotionally distant, or bitter, not because they're cruel, but because they've bled themselves dry without ever asking for a bandage. Trust is their sacred currency, and once broken, it's almost impossible to repair. While the Pisces part of them may whisper, forgive and release, the dog side holds onto pain with a memory like stone. Betray them deeply, and they won't explode. They'll wall themselves off, brick by invisible brick. They may still smile, they may still wish you well, but you'll feel the shift. They're no longer emotionally available. They've retreated to an inner sanctum where your key no longer fits. These walls aren't made of anger. They're made of protection. The Pisces dog builds them not to punish others, but to survive what hurt them. And once they're built, few are ever let back inside. There's also the danger of becoming a cynical dreamer, someone who once believed in magic, love, and goodness, but now sees the world through cracked glass. When their dreams fail them, when a love betrays, a cause collapses, a friendship falls apart, it shakes them at the foundation. Unlike others, they don't compartmentalize well. A single heartbreak can spill into every corner of their life. They may grow disillusioned with humanity, withdraw from creative pursuits, or stop trusting their own intuition. The dog's loyalty turns bitter. The Pisces' sensitivity becomes numbness. They stop believing that things can be beautiful again, and for a time, the world inside them goes quiet. At their lowest, they may adopt a martyr mindset, believing that suffering is their role, that happiness is for others, or that their only purpose is to care for people who don't care for them. This creates cycles of toxic relationships, where they give endlessly, hoping someone will finally see their worth. And when no one does, they spiral deeper into sadness, convinced they're invisible, or worse, unworthy. This is when they stop asking for help, when they ghost friends, when they put on the mask of "I'm fine" so convincingly, even they start to believe it. And yet, even in their darkest moments, the Pisces dog's core remains intact. Their essence is not corrupted by pain, it's just hidden. What they need isn't fixing, it's space. Space to feel, space to rest, space to create without pressure. They find healing in small, sacred things. Sitting by water, sketching without showing anyone, being hugged without having to explain why they need it. They may retreat into solitude, but given time, nature, kindness, and a little art, they begin to emerge again, gentler than before, but somehow even wiser. Their darkness isn't something to fear, it's something to understand, because within that melancholy lies the full range of the human condition, and a heart that's still willing to believe in love, even after it's been shattered. Life goals, meaning over success. For the Pisces dog, life is not a competition. It's a quest for meaning, a slow, sacred unfolding rather than a high-speed race. They're not driven by status, fame, or external validation. Material success feels hollow to them unless it's deeply tied to personal purpose. They won't push themselves up the corporate ladder just to check a box or please others. Their ambition, when it appears, is quiet but potent, rooted in the desire to make something meaningful, leave something kind behind, or help someone feel less alone. If the world measures success in trophies, they measure it in truth, and the quiet, soul-deep satisfaction of living in alignment with who they really are. They are deeply introspective, and their goals often reflect that inner world. You won't find them announcing every milestone or seeking applause. Their dreams tend to be soulful and service-oriented. Write a novel that heals people, open a sanctuary for animals, become a therapist who helps others feel whole, create music that makes someone cry for the right reasons. They long to be useful, not in a utilitarian sense, but in a way that matters. They want their existence to feel like it counted, not for profit or prestige, but because they softened something hard in the world. A major driving force in their life is the desire for emotional fulfillment. They are not fulfilled by crowded rooms or glittering achievements. They are fulfilled by deep connection, by genuine love, by creating something beautiful and lasting. Their idea of success could be as simple and profound as waking up in a cozy home beside someone they love, sharing tea and meaningful conversation, and spending their day painting, writing, helping, or nurturing. The traditional dream, luxury, power, dominance, is not just unappealing to them, it feels spiritually off course. They seek a quieter dream, filled with compassion, creativity, and calm. Authenticity is the compass that guides all their decisions. If a job, relationship, or environment feels emotionally misaligned, they'll drift away, even if it offers prestige or wealth. They have an uncanny ability to detect emotional dissonance, and it haunts them when they stay in situations that betray their values. That's why their life goals often involve minimalism, intentional living, or creative freedom. They'd rather earn modestly doing what they love than become rich doing something that eats away at their soul. Freedom, to them, means the ability to create, to care, and to be without compromising their emotional truth. Community, though often small and intimate, plays a vital role in their long-term vision. They dream of belonging without performance, where they can be fully themselves and offer that same safe space to others. Whether it's a circle of artist friends, a holistic wellness retreat, or a group of like-hearted activists, the Pisces-Dog longs to be part of something authentic. They want relationships and communities where ego steps aside and tenderness leads. Their life goals often involve creating or joining these spaces, whether that's a physical community, a creative collective, or even just a deeply connected family life. At the center of everything they pursue is a quiet but unwavering mission: to live a life of love and beauty, with integrity. They aren't here to play the conventional game, and they never really were. They were born to feel more, to imagine more, to care more, and to remind others, through how they live, that gentleness is not weakness, and meaning is not a luxury. Whether they leave behind a best-selling book, a rescued animal sanctuary, or simply a string of deeply touched lives, they will consider that a life well lived. Their goal is not to be remembered loudly, but to be remembered warmly, as someone who stayed soft in a world that begged them to harden. In the end, a Pisces born in the year of the dog is a paradox in the best sense, a blend of strength and softness, of quiet dreams and unwavering loyalty. They are not the loudest person in the room, but they're often the one carrying it. They don't need to command attention, because their presence speaks in a different language, one made of feeling, nuance, and silent understanding. They are the kind of person who walks into your life and makes it feel safer just by existing. You may not always be able to explain what they bring, but you'll feel it in your chest. In a noisy world, they are an emotional anchor. They live with their heart turned outward, always listening, always sensing, always feeling. Their empathy is not performative or selective, it's embedded in their very nature. They cry during commercials. They grieve for strangers. They carry the weight of others' stories in their bones. And yet, despite all they feel, they continue to show up with compassion and care. That's their quiet superpower, the refusal to go numb. The world may tell them they're too sensitive, too idealistic, too emotional. But the truth is, they're just brave enough to feel everything. That's not weakness, that's radical strength. They are soft warriors, protectors with poetic souls. The Pisces brings the dream, the vision of a better, gentler world, while the dog ensures that they fight for it with loyalty and endurance. They don't give up easily, especially when it comes to love or purpose. When they believe in something, they stay. They nurture, they commit, and if you're lucky enough to be loved by one, you'll feel it in 1,000 tiny ways. The way they remember your favorite song, the way they text you just when you need it, the way they see parts of you even you've forgotten. Their love isn't loud, it's lived, in action, in presence, in subtle grace. But they are also human. They break, they bruise, they carry scars no one sees, not because they're hiding them, but because they've learned to wear their pain with dignity. The world can be too sharp for someone so tender. They often feel out of place in spaces built for dominance, speed, or performance. And yet, they stay gentle, not because they've never been hurt, but because they've made a sacred choice to keep their hearts open anyway. Their resilience is not about defiance, but devotion, to beauty, to love, to meaning, and to the belief that being kind still matters. If you have a Pisces dog in your life, cherish them. They are the one who remembers your silence, the one who sits with you in your mess, the one who believes in your light even when you've forgotten it. Don't take their emotional labor for granted. Don't assume their forgiveness is endless. And don't ever treat their softness as weakness. What they give, their time, their energy, their care, is gold. And it is earned, not owed. If you protect their spirit, if you see them fully, they will love you with a purity most people only dream about. And if you are a Pisces dog, this is your reminder. You were never meant to fit into the molds others created. You are here to soften what's hard, to connect what's disconnected, and to bring light where others have long accepted darkness. You're not broken for feeling too much. You're not naive for dreaming big. You are a rare kind of human, one who heals by being exactly who you are. The world is better, kinder, more humane because your heart beats inside it. Never forget that, never hide that, because what you are, is exactly what the world needs more of.